Alright, so we just got done with this screen space ambient occlusion business, and I finally got it to a stage where I'm kind of comfortable with what it looks like. So you can notice there's an ambient shadow, like soft shadow between the edges. You can notice a bit of an artifact here and there, but it's not that prominent, so I decided to keep them there. Well, this is all a temporary global illumination solution, so and I think it looks pretty nice. The way I did it is I'm storing the position in the texture at full resolution. Then before doing the forward shading pass, what I do is to for each sample in the texture, I get the position sample, and I basically before doing that, every initializing of the application, I generate a random sphere. It's just arrays within a unisphere and scaled so that it scales up not linearly to get a better look. And what it does is basically at each sample, at each position in the geometry paths, what I do is I generate a small sphere um, at that sample point inside the geometry, in the world, let's just say. That's closest, that gets written to the screen. So I sample the sphere, and I deduct the normal. Well, this is a little bit complicated. So if you think about the texture, right? Texture, okay, position texture is like a function of 3D position, right? You it takes two input. One is x coordinate and one is y coordinate, and it spits out a position from the texture. Okay, you think about it that way, and you can see how you can get normal out of it. Right? Imagine two positions. Um, if you subtract them along x, then that's like, well, you don't actually do that. You take the sample on the one position, right? Then the textile to the right of it is the position, the closest position to it on the texture. When you subtract it to get the direction from the position 1 to position 2, that's like one of the vector that's tangent to the normal of that position on the surface, if that makes sense. And you take another one along the y-axis in the texture, which is just one textile up. So now you get two different vectors that is tangent to the normal. What you can do is do a cross product to get normal to the surface. It's not really accurate on discontinuous surfaces, but it's good enough, as you can see. It's not that bad. So in order to do that, it's pretty easy. You just take the partial derivative of x and y on the position with the texture as the function of 3D positions, and that's normal. I mean, the cross product of those two differences is normal. And you use the normal to see which of the rays inside the sphere is within the hemisphere that's oriented around the normal. If it's not, what I do is just reflect that random ray with respect to normal, so that it's flipped back into the hemisphere. So I make sure that there's no ray wasted in the sphere. Get used for calculating ambient occlusion. And of course, there has to be a lot of samples to create a convincing image. So what you do is you first set the sample as uniform, then you create a noise texture, you tile over the noise texture on the screen, and for each 4x4 neighbors, you rotate the hemisphere by a little bit, randomly. And that's going to create a little bit of noise, but then you can just do a 4x4 blur to get rid of the noise. And this is what you're looking at. It's not perfect, but it's an approximation of the ambient occlusion. It looks pretty nice to say. And it's with the lighting, it's ambient occlusion terms integrating to lighting in our game. And let me get closer to this thing. You can see there's a lot of subtle soft shadows on the edge, right? They don't look perfect, but well, just don't try to focus on them. Just look at what's happening in the game, and these create really, really significant realism to the game's graphics. And let's just show you what it looks like without the ambient occlusion. This is what it looks like. Right? Not very interesting. You can tell it's just a plain old farm lighting model, and with this amped up, you can see the soft shadow between the edges, and that is instantly a lot more realistic than what it was. Right? There's still a bit of artifact like halo effect, but good enough for me as a hack to global illumination. I don't plan for it to stay. I'm just gonna keep it here for now. Let's see what happens later, or what other techniques I learn along the way. Alright, that's it.